Okay, so we talked about some of the risks involved in buying condos. Obviously, this is a huge subject and can go on for a while, but we're going to just touch on some of them, and obviously it's not the full list. But there are also some of the things that we could look into to reduce the amount of risk that we expose ourselves to. One of the things to reduce risk is to deal with a developer that is reputable. There are a lot of companies, offshore companies these days, and there are some financing companies that just put together deals. And there are companies, local companies that have been around for a long, long time. And my inclination is to go with companies that are more reputable, like BD, Concord Pacific, Polygon. Those are companies that have been around and have been consistently delivering what they've promised to do.
Gerald, I saw one of your videos, or a series of videos about BD, and I have to agree. BD is a good example of a developer with excellent track record. And Royal Bank, actually, we have partnered with BD in on several of their projects. And also the other developers that you mentioned, like Polygon. Those are good developers. So it is very crucial to do your research and to purchase a pre-sale property from a reputable developer.
I was surprised to hear that in the marketing materials, for example, right, they were able to say, well, they market this project as a concrete building, and then afterwards, when it's time to build, it's not a concrete building, it's a wood frame. So if you and I are thinking that we're buying into this project and it's a concrete, and all of a sudden it's a wood frame building, what are we going to do? You know, it's not what we want, because we want the durability of concrete or the insulation of concrete. So it is important to understand what the disclosure statement. So in the example that I'm giving now, it was in the disclosure statement that they could change from concrete to wood frame. So it is important to mitigate some of these risks, to take that disclosure statement to a lawyer and have the lawyer review the contract before finally deciding to go ahead. Remember, we have once we get that contract, we have 7 days rescission period, which means that we can change our minds in that 7 days. So use that time carefully and wisely. Take the information to a lawyer. Have them review the disclosure statement for peace of mind, because you don't want to find out later on that you're buying something that you don't want, and also that they made changes that they were allowed to make, but you weren't aware of them.
I think, Gerald, you brought up a good point about reviewing, taking the time to review all the documents. And I just want to add, it is also very important to work closely with your real estate agent, because obviously a realtor can help with giving advice on some of the contracts and some of the condo documents. And also realtor will help you research the market and also the developer, right? Whether it's a reputable developer, whether this is a good development, whether this is a good market where, there's a good potential for capital appreciation in the future.
That's another important thing when we look at the development. What is the future potential of that development, right? Because sometimes there are certain areas, for example, that are where the units that are being offered for a sale, they're already very high in price, and so the potential of future appreciation, the marginal potential, if you like, is much less than if we go out into certain areas where we buy now, and in a few years' time, the potential for appreciation is much higher. It's been a lot of people think that the BD project in Coquitlam is one of these projects where when we buy now, there's a greater chance of a bigger appreciation over time, as opposed to maybe buying in Richmond. I live in Richmond, so I don't want to say don't buy in Richmond. But, if we were to look at this as a pure investment and the possibility of having appreciation over time, buy in areas where there's that involves a good developer, that involves that has a good location, and where there is future potential. I think as investors and as homeowners, I think this is something that all of us want, is to be able to make some money along the way in the whole process.
One other point that I just want to bring up is also very important to work closely with your lender.
Yes.
Because eventually you will need the financing to complete the purchase. So it is very important to stay informed, keep yourself informed, and also always keep your lender updated.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Ryan, because a critical component to successfully buying into a project. So when is the best time, Ryan, to start this whole process of getting finance together?
I usually advise my clients to start looking for financing before they actually look for a property. Buyers can always go to the banks, the lenders, to get a pre-approval. So with pre-approval, buyers will be able to at least understand, their own credit, how much they'll be able to afford, and they can start gathering crucial documents.
So when a client comes to you, for example, and gets a pre-approval, what is the procedure? What are the types of documents that they would need to supply to you to get this pre-approval process going?
In most cases, pre-approvals are pretty straightforward, and it's pretty quick. So basic information the banks will need is obviously your income documents, like your pay stubs and your T4s. Depending on the type of employment, if somebody is self-employed, we may need 2 years income taxes. And bank will require to pull your credit bureau just to make sure everything is looking good on the credit. In terms of down payment, obviously, like to see and make sure even during pre-approval that client do have the funds, at least for the down payment or at least for the deposit. One thing I just want to mention is the pre-approval is good for the buyers to know how much they can afford before they go out and look for a property, so they don't waste their time and also the realtor's time in looking for some property that they cannot afford. Right? And this is for the same reason a lot of developers also require client to provide at least a pre-approval letter before they would write up the offer. So just something to keep in mind.